Obadiah and Jezebel and Ahab. I mean, there is so much going on. I love this passage. So I am just so excited. It took us 3.5 years to get here. Okay, because Sunday nights we kind of started in the book of Exodus chapter 1, and we've been working our way kind of section by section, chapter and away by chapter from the Old Testament till now. And so here we are, 1 Kings 18. So yeehaw, are you guys ready? Okay, got a few. I'll take it. Okay, let me pray, and then we're going to dive into this. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, it is an honor, it is a privilege to be able to gather here yet again today, to sing praises to you and to reflect and dig into your word. Lord, I ask for wisdom. I ask, Lord, that when we leave here today, that we might have a better sense of discernment, that when we are faced between decisions and issues to make, Lord, that we would pick that path, pick those options that are more glorifying to you. And this we ask in your Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen. So a few weeks ago, approximately 3 weeks ago, I had the wonderful opportunity to go to Peoria area and attend a banquet there. My wife and I got to go, and this was a banquet. It was an Adult Teen Challenge banquet. Okay, and I've done a lot of work with Adult Teen Challenge. I've trained counselors there. I've done counselor education, and I've counseled counselors there. So I've worked with them. And the lady who was one of the high-ups for Adult Teen Challenge is a friend of mine, and we're trying to work together a little bit. And so she threw on this giant fundraising gala banquet thing. And so she invited me at no cost to come up and enjoy prime rib and potato. I mean, it was a great meal at this nice hotel there in Peoria. So my wife and I went. But it wasn't just any event. I mean, yes, it was the fundraiser. Yes, it was the Adult Teen Challenge. Yay. I was like, okay, we'll go, and we'll keep the relationship strong, and we'll be there. But they had a guest speaker. And the guest speaker was somebody I did not expect to see. It was none other than Ken Davis. Yeah, so Ken Davis was the speaker. Now, some of you might not know who he was or who he is. Right? I have been following his career since the mid-1990s. Okay, I mean, I've seen him in person. I have his VHSs. I got his videos. I've watched him on Dry Bar Comedy. This dude is a comedian, and he is funny. He's a strong Christian comedian. And when he does sermons, it just lit me up. I just loved it. I love the way he organized his sermons and how he presented them. In fact, a lot of how I do my sermons are influenced by how he did his. Okay, so he was like a childhood hero of mine. And maybe you all might have different people you would call heroes. I have several. I got like Ken Ham and Albert Mohler Jr., and then there's Ken Davis, one of my heroes. And so there I was at this banquet, and I'm looking over, and like just a couple tables down, I saw him sitting there with his wife. And I pointed to Rachel, I tapped him like, here he is, he's sitting right over there. You know, I was so excited. I can't believe I'm this close to him. I just have never been able to be like, I'm like, this is so exciting. So then my friend LaVon comes up to me, and she's like, how you doing? I'm like, I'm doing great. And I said, I can't believe you got Ken Davis. She goes, oh, you've heard of him? I said, he's like a childhood hero of mine. I've been following his career since the 90s. And she goes, do you want to meet him? Are you serious? Are you serious right now? I'm like, yeah. Like ever, if ever there was a phrase, there's a bear poop in the woods, it's right now. Okay, like I'm like, yes. Are you serious? She goes, yeah. She goes, come on. I was like, oh yeah. And so I get up. My wife's like, your phone. I'm like, hold my phone. And so I have my phone, and I went, and then we're bringing him to the table to meet Ken Davis. Did I get a selfie? Yes, I got a selfie. There it is. Okay. Meanwhile, before I took my selfie, I'm getting up to the table, and I'm working my way there, and I'm coaching myself. I'm like, you know what? Play it cool. Gotta play it cool. I can't be a fanboy. I can't be one of those Yahoo dweebs. You know, I gotta play it cool. I could be like, I'm just rehearsing it in my head. I got just like a minute, right? That's all I got as we're working our way, just a couple tables. But I'm having sentences of conversations rehearsed in my head a dozen different ways. Have you been there? I'm sure I'm not the only one that's done something like this. You know, and I'm just rehearsing it, right? I'm like, Mr. Davis, how you doing? It's an honor to meet you. I'm looking forward to your presentation. Thank you for your gift of humor. And I just had all these nice be calm, be cool, I told myself. Just reach out your hand and have a nice firm handshake. Don't give him a limp fish, but don't squeeze it too hard. He is getting old, okay? And I'm like, I don't want to go and go, oh, sorry, dude. Just play it nice, play it nice. And so I walked up there, and I'm just ready. And she goes, Mr. Davis, this is John Coyne. He has been a fan of yours for a really long time and wanted to say hi to you. And so Ken Davis looked over and says, John, how's it going? I reached out and I took his hand and I went, it is such an awesome honor to meet you. I can't wait. I'm just so excited. I'm just like, this is such an honor and a privilege. And I just lost it, right? I just looked like the biggest dweeb and the biggest fool you have ever imagined, right? And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. Can I have a selfie with you? He's like, sure. I'm like, oh, this is great. I took up my phone. I aimed it, but I couldn't find us. I'm like, what's going on? Where are we? Oh, I didn't have the camera reversed. And so I'm hitting the button to get the camera flipped around. He's going, oh my gosh, this dude. It was just a terribly embarrassing moment, right? But it was just amazing to be able to put my arm around one of my heroes for over 30 years, right? It just was an amazing experience. So this is what we're going to see today in 1 Kings chapter 18. No, not me meeting Ken Davis. We're going to see Obadiah meeting Elijah. Okay, and Elijah is this big hero of the faith. Okay, Obadiah has sacrificed for Elijah, but never met him, but knew of him. Okay, so he knows of him. He's been working for him. He hid like 100 people, 50 people in the cave. And so now he is going to go and he's going to be meeting this Elijah. And this is what happens is Obadiah meets Elijah in like the first 15 verses. And so what happens is he gets up to Elijah and then he's like, oh, it's Elijah. And he falls face to the ground. Because Obadiah is like me. He goes face to the ground. He's like, my Lord, is it really you? And Elijah's like, yeah, it's mine. Get up, you fool. So then Elijah gets up. Or then Obadiah gets up. And Obadiah's like, oh, what would you have me do? And Elijah goes, I want you to go tell King Ahab that I'm here. Then Obadiah freaks out. All right, I have a hard time saying Obadiah, so I'm going to call him Obi-Wan. So then Obi-Wan freaks out, okay? And Obi-Wan's like, what have I done? If I sinned? Have I ticked you off? Why are you putting a death sentence on my head? Right? And Elijah's like, I think you're being a little over-dramatic. Just go tell King Ahab. And then Obi's like, dude, no, you don't understand. If I go tell the king, like he's been hunting for you, he wants to kill you, he wants to do things to you that's bad, right? Like you are on his hit list. This is really bad. And so he's like, but if I go and I tell him I found you and I know where you are, and then the Spirit of the Lord comes and just whips you away to some other location because God's funny like that and has that type of sense of humor, I'd be like, hey, he's over there. And then the Spirit of the Lord goes, no, he's not. Ha ha. And then I'm going to be left with looking like the idiot. Right, saying he's here, and then Ahab's going to show up, and you're not there, and then he's going to be mad at me. He's going to kill me. So Elijah, please don't have me go tell King Ahab this. And Elijah says, don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to wait right here and wait till Ahab comes to me. And so Obi-Wan goes, okay, I'll go tell him. And so Obi-Wan shows up to King Ahab's palace, and Ahab goes, who goes there? And then Obi-Wan shows up and goes, hello there. And he tells, you knew that was coming, you Star Wars fans. And then he tells Ahab where Elijah is. So then Elijah meets Ahab. Right, so now we got this meeting going on. So Ahab shows up. And for a few verses here, we got Elijah versus Ahab, where Ahab is like, what are you? You are the one. You are the one that have destroyed Israel. Oh, you're such a bad dude. And then Elijah's like, don't you go blaming it on me. And then isn't it just like a politician to be guilty of something but then blame everybody else for it? Isn't that just like a politician? And so I'm just telling you the truth. If somebody says that somebody's a threat to democracy, the person saying it is probably the one that's the real threat. Just laying that out, okay? And so here's Ahab going, you're the destroyer of Israel. And Elijah's like, you're saying that? It's cute. How adorable are you? You're the one that's the problem. You're the one that's the destroyer of Israel. You're the one that has 450 prophets of Baal. You're the one that has 400 prophets of Asherah. You're the one that is committing adultery to God and leading Israel astray. You're the destroyer of Israel. I'll tell you what, go ahead and gather up all your prophets and bring them here to me. Let's have ourselves a showdown and see who the real God is. Right? So he's like, so bring all the prophets, all 850 of them. I'll take them all on. Just me versus all y'all. Okay? I don't know if you ever felt like it was you versus the world. Usually it's hyperbole when you think that. For Elijah, it was legit. Okay? For Elijah, it was like him versus the world. Okay? So Ahab goes back, and he does it. He does what Elijah says. He gathers up the 850 prophets of Baal and Asherah, and they bring them all over to a very sweet place, Mount Carmel. Okay, I know it's not caramel, but it might as well be. It's just such a sweet story. Okay, and so he brings them over to Mount Carmel, and so now it is Elijah versus the prophets of Baal. And this is where things get interesting. Okay, this is where the action hits. Oh, I would love to make a movie of this. It would be so much fun. Okay, so now the time has come. It's like Rocky Balboa versus Dolph Lundgren, and we're in Rocky IV. Okay, this is like a great old showdown of one way versus another way. Which will prevail? Who will forever be the champion? Okay, that is what's going to be happening here. And so comes the showdown, and it goes like this. So then Elijah approached all the people, because there's a lot. Okay, Israel's there. 850 prophets are there. There's a showdown. There's a lot of people, okay? There's a lot of people. So Elijah approaches all the people and says, how long will you hesitate between two opinions? Oh, what a great question. I would love to ask that of half the people in our city. Yeah, how long will you hesitate between two opinions? If Yahweh is God, follow him. But if Baal, follow him. Who is God? Who is the truth? Follow the truth. Okay, is it God or is it Baal? Figure out who's the truth and follow that person. But the people did not answer him a word. Then Elijah said to the people, I am the only remaining prophet of the Lord. Okay, he is all that is there during these few years. It is Elijah. Okay, he's like, I am the only remaining prophet of the Lord. But Baal's prophets, not even referring to Asherah. It's amazing how the 400 prophets of Asherah are silent the rest of the story. Right? We don't hear about them. We don't see what happens to them. There's no other recording of them. They're just an afterthought. Okay, so here's Elijah saying there's 450 men here that are the worshipers of Baal. I see you. And since you are so numerous, I'm just little old me. It's just me. But you guys are so big and so mighty and powerful and so many in number. Choose yourself one bull and prepare it first. Okay, because they had already gotten 2 bulls ready for this. So choose yourself a bull and prepare it first. Okay, so then call on the name of your God. Call upon the name of Baal, but don't you light the bull on fire. Let your God do that. Okay, so don't light it on fire. You set the bull up and call upon your God to see if he can light it on fire. That's the question. So they took the bull, prepared it, and called upon the name of Baal from morning until noon. Okay, so we're talking several hours. Okay, several hours. From morning until noon, and they're saying, Baal, answer us. But there was no sound. No one answered. I love the repetition the Holman gives this. There was no sound. Baal made no noise. No one answered. So then they dance and hobbling around the altar that they had made, and they're having a big old hoopla. You did read it more in the text. They're cutting on them. They're just doing a whole bunch of just messed up stuff, okay? The whole thing gets completely jacked up. Okay, then at noon. Okay, so they're doing all this, nothing's happening. They're doing more, nothing's happening. They're dancing and a wailing, and they're doing the Macarena because that's where I think it started. They're doing everything, and nothing's working. So at noon, Elijah, one man. How many prophets of Baal? 450. Right? So 450 prophets of Baal amongst the prophets of Asherah and all the other people, like a lot of people. One guy decides to start talking trash. Okay, I'm telling you, the gall of this guy. I don't know about you, but if I saw like 5 people in an alleyway, I would not talk trash to them. I would keep on walking. Right? That just, I don't care what city I'm in, I'm walking. Right? I'm not going to talk trash to 5 people. If I saw one person in a dark alley, I'm not talking trash to that person either. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not even doing that. I'm just going to keep on walking, right? Especially at night. I'm not going there. I don't know how many. I've seen too many 80s movies. I talk trash. Suddenly, like a bunch of feral cats, people start jumping out of the dumpster and out of the windows and from alleyways. Next thing I know is me versus 50 people, right? And I am not Bruce Almighty. I can't make a monkey come out of anyone. I can't fight that. So I'm like, I'm not doing it. 450 people, Elijah talks trash. You get the point? Okay, like this guy has guts, like I can only read about. Okay, this guy has what the Hebrews call chutzpah. Okay, this guy has it, right? This guy is tough. This guy is bold. This guy is courageous at another level. He talks trash over 400 people. Okay, so he starts mocking them. So notice that word. What word is used? Mocking. Notice that. So many people try to tame Elijah's words. They try to make them sound nice. They're not nice. They're not tame because he's mocking. You don't mock in nice ways. Okay, that doesn't work. You mock rough and gruff. That's who Elijah is. So Elijah says to them, shout loudly, for he's a god. Okay, great sarcasm here. Because if Baal's a god and he is a supreme being, you think he can hear? Yes. Right, so he's like, shout loudly because this guy's a god. Okay, I imagine he's doing the air quotes and just kind of, okay, this is how it kind of would look. He's a god. Maybe he's just thinking it over. Maybe he's just pondering whether or not to reply to you nitwits. Maybe he has wandered away. This is the Holman being nice. I don't like it. The King James has something a little bit more direct, but we don't understand his meaning, which says maybe he has stepped aside. Anybody's translations say you stepped aside? We got a few that say stepped. Here's what stepped aside means and what Elijah is saying. If you're walking on a road and you're in travel from point A to point B, and you got to use the bathroom, you're going to not do it on the road. You're going to step aside. You're going to go into the bushes and you're going to be hot to squat. Okay, that's what's going on. And that's what you're going to do. Okay, and so Elijah's like, maybe your God has gone off the road and is making in the bushes. That's maybe what he's doing. Okay, maybe he's taking a major dump. That's what he's offering. Okay, Elijah's being extremely graphic here. This is not a polite phrase. Okay, it is not a polite phrase. It is a very graphic phrase. It's a very crude phrase. Right now, we hear it, we just go step aside, we don't even think anything of it. Back then, that was not okay. Okay, that was not okay. And so Elijah's being really, really gruff. This is hilarious. I love it. Right? The Bible has scatological humor, which makes it divine. Okay, I won't go any further with that. Okay, so maybe he stepped aside, or maybe he is on the road. No, maybe he packed a bag. He went to Disneyland. Maybe he went on vacation because obviously he's not responding. Maybe he's not here. Okay, or perhaps he's sleeping and you need to wake him up. Let me just point this out to you. If your God can go on vacation, then that means anything can happen outside of his control. If your God can fall asleep, then bad things can happen without his knowledge. Okay, so this is not good for anybody's God, right? Everything Elijah is saying limits and minimizes the effectiveness and power of Baal. All of it is insults. All of it is trash talking, right? We read it, we don't see it as strong as how it was worded, but it's all trash talk, completely mocking Baal. All afternoon, they kept on. 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., they're still going. They're yelling, they're wailing, they're dancing, they're singing, they're cutting, they're doing everything they can. But there was no sound, no one answered, no one paid attention. Because the author here of 1 Kings is trying to say that when it comes to false gods, there is no one there. It's not like there's the God and a whole bunch of little gods that are like you can be worshipped and have some. Like there's no one there. Okay? No one's paying attention. Then Elijah said to all the people, "Come near me." He's like, you know what? You guys have hooted and hollered long enough. Come over here. Check this out. Check this out. I got something for you. So he builds an altar, arranges the wood, takes a bowl, cuts it up, and places it on the wood. Okay? Then he said, hey, fill 4 water pots with water and pour it on the offering to be burned on and on the wood. So pour it on the offering, on the bowl, and on the wood. We're going to marinate this pot liquor. So I want you to go ahead and fill this up, dump it on. Okay. So they did that. And then he said, hey, do it a second time. And they did it. And then he said, do it a third time. And they did it a third time. And so the water ran all around the altar and even filled up the trench with water. You get the idea that this thing is soaked. This thing is drenched. Now, have you guys ever tried to light a fire with wet wood? It does not work. I don't care how many fire starters you got to wait for it to dry out. Okay, like I love having a fire over at the house. I love being able to just put wood in and light it up and let it go. But when it rains and there's standing water in it and all the wood is sopping, like it's just no fire that day, right? It just isn't going to work very well. So now here's the altar, soaking wet, water in the trenches that are dug around it, water on the bowl, water standing on. Everything is having that little squishy, wiggly smell and everything going on because it's soaked with water. At the time for offering the evening sacrifice, Elijah the prophet approached the altar. He calls out to God. Then Yahweh's fire fell and consumed the burnt offering. It's at this point that Elijah ends up singing that Alicia Keys song. This bull is on fire. This bull is on fire. Okay, might have a different word in there, but nonetheless, so he's singing this song, right? And the bull is on fire, right? No matter how wet, even though it was wet, even though it was soaked, the fire came from heaven